guys, Calxiyn and Hunter here. If you guys enjoyed this video, you guys should become patrons over on Patreon if you guys want to support the channel. So, we've talked about this in our analysis a little, but now we've gone better at it. I guess so. Is it considered better? But anyway, so basically, the Brunswick farms or whatever, people found a couple, like, different, like, sources. Oh, it could be this, it could be that. But I thought the most interesting one was the Fairytale.
Listen, we didn't take this from other motherfuckers. I went on Wikipedia, and I found this dude.
I know that you did, but I was looking in other Discord servers and people were saying, oh, it's this,
do our own research. So...
Okay. Whatever. I was just trying to get the consensus
near the end
of people's
of the newest episode of RWBY, you see that they go to a town called Brunswick. And we were like, oh, what are the significance of Brunswick?
Yeah, so I got Hunter to look up, like, what does a Brunswick, like, what does this mean? And Hunter was like, okay. I don't get paid enough, but okay.
So let's learn about Brunswick. Ostensibly, Brunswick is just a name for a lord in England, and as we all know, England did a fair bit of colonialization. Therefore, there's a lot of places in Canada, New Brunswick, towns and townships in Australia and in Canada and in America that are named after Brunswick. So I'm like, well, there's a lot of options there. Something that I immediately came to, that was at the first thing they mentioned when you look up Brunswick on Wikipedia, is the German city of motherfucker. Am I gonna have to look up like how to pronounce it again? I believe it was pronounced
like Brunswick, like it's something like that. Like it's
so to pronounce it properly, you're gonna have to draw as much phlegm as humanly possible. And then you give it a good Brunswick. I think it was something along the lines of Brunswick.
It doesn't really matter. Anyway.
It doesn't really matter, but basically it is a German city called Brunswick, which is the German translation of Brunswick, which makes sense because it's like, oh, it's in English, why were they in Germany? There was a lot of cross-pollination between
Hunter?
Between basically all the royals in Europe were related. The Romanovs were related to the English royalty, which were related to the German royalty, which were related to the Austro-Hungarian royalty. None of those royalties, except for the English ones, didn't work out well for them. Germany kind of fizzled out. Austro-Hungary lost everything. Romanovs got shot in a pile. It wasn't great.
No.
But we have
Brunswick,
that city, and if you go down to the culture section, you learn about their lovely spreadable sausage, smoked pork sausage. Which I'm like,
I thought you were talking about the jester.
But yes, and then you also learn the jester, whose name is, and I know I'm probably going to butcher this, is Tel Ilgenspiegel. Ilgenspiegel? I think it's Ilgenspiegel. So basically, Till Ilgenspiegel is a
We're just gonna call him Till.
So we're just gonna call him Till. Good old Till. Watch it be German and his name is Till or something. Till. Anyways. Till
so
is
Hunter found something interesting on the wiki, and basically it was saying that in these stories, he exposes the vices of the royalty. Is that right? He exposed the vices of the royalty, which are greed, hypocrisy.
He was okay, so in the chapbooks, and chapbooks were like very early small printed books, like some of the first books that were after, like, the printing press was created, the first ones that were
basically, like, near when the fairy tales were started.
Yeah, basically around then, because this is, like, in the 1500s. In the chapbooks, Till is presented as a trickster who plays practical jokes on his contemporaries, exposing vice at every turn. He does this to everyone. He does this to...
Oh, so it's not just royalty.
Yeah, he does this to Pope, He's a vagrant, so he walks around.
So he's just exposing people, basically.
Although craftsmen are featured as the principal victims of this prank.
What's a craftsman, though?
Craftsman being just, like, anyone who builds craft. Which I'm like, is there anyone in RWBY who's a craftsman? And I'm like, not really? No. Like, Crow's not particularly craftsman-like.
I don't think that matters. I think what matters more is the part about the vices, right? Because it lists off the couple of vices, that he exposes the vices, and it's greed, hypocrisy. What were the other two, Hunter?
Greed, foolishness, and folly.
Yeah. And so I feel like that, in general, like, this is sort of a fairy tale thing. And what this reminded...
He also tends to literally interpret figurative language. So if you were just like, oh god, I have a splitting headache, and you're like, I see your head is split in one. Something like that. Man, I should voice that character. I would do a terrible job. Also, the last thing I wanted to interject is that apparently he likes a lot of scatological humor. So a lot of throwing poop at people in the later renditions. that were taken in. I know a lot about Till, evidently. So if I just really want to see Crow just be decked by poop, or like Weiss be decked by a wad of shit, and Maria just lose her shit, or better, Yang and Maria's like, teach her right, honey.
Anyway, I don't think that's it. I think that the part about exposing the vices is more important. And, like, somebody else said that, like, oh, he's also known to drive people insane. That may not be literal insanity.
I couldn't find that anywhere.
I saw that somewhere.
You saw that someone else saying that, but
I saw someone else saying that. I don't know if they looked further than just Wikipedia, possibly.
Which evidently is something I didn't do.
But anyway, I think that the idea here is that he may start exposing them, right? If there is a character here, he may expose all of their faults. And you know how Emerald does the hallucinations? Maybe he could do something like that to make them, I don't want to say go crazy, but here was basically my idea as soon as I heard this.
Okay, so I'm going to interject with random Till knowledge. Someone made a light novel, a Japanese light novelist.
Why wouldn't they? Anyway, my point is that I feel like the idea here is that he is... like, he could expose the vices of the girl. So, hypocrisy is something that really struck a chord with me because, people were saying that Yang is a hypocrite because she doesn't tell the team that Raven is the Spring Maiden. Like, she doesn't tell them the truth. She lies and says that Raven just disappeared and went away and, like, all of that sort of, what are you looking for now?
Just looking more Till stuff. Continue.
Okay, have fun. And so there's all of that sort of stuff, and so people think that Yang is a hypocrite, and so when she says, how could you hide all of this stuff from us, right? That could, her hypocrisy could be exposed by this sort of trickster, gesture character. And in terms of the other stuff, they talked about greed, right? I don't think anybody on Team RWBY is necessarily greedy, right? But I think that vices are a lot more than what they listed off. They're like foolishness and folly and all that. Like, usually when people think of vices, they think of pride, envy, greed, gluttony, like the famous 7. Yeah, exactly.
The notable 7.
But I think that there's a lot of things in Team RWBY, like, and even like Crow and Ozpin that are, you know, vices, right? Like, I think how Blake is a not a coward, but she runs away. Right, that's her thing. And then Ozpin sort of almost did the same thing with Salem. Like, he decided to take the kids in the middle of the night and sort of all of that stuff. So you could, like, kind of expose Ozpin for that. You could expose Yang on her hypocrisy. I don't think RWBY necessarily has anything to be exposed by, and so maybe she won't be affected by this. But it's sort of like Crow, you know, Crow, RWBY, like, all of these people have, or all the people in Team RWBY have something where it's their pride or it's their envy. And then Yang even has a line, I guess, in All That Matters, like the song where she says it's another chance for Blake to hurt her pride. And so it may be more directed at Yang than anything, like this illusion nonsense, I guess, if you want to call it that, or this gesture character, right? But I feel like that, you know, we see in this scene that there's this barn or whatever, but there's also this sort of mine area where there's this hole, and it seems like that's the area where RWBY is also fighting the Cthulhu arms, and Crow gets pulled in by those same arms. So my idea is that maybe those arms are maybe like representative of Till, this gesture character, messing with them and exposing them, and RWBY fights it off while Crow gets sucked in because Crow believes that these are his vices, whereas RWBY has no vices, and so she's able to fight it off, whereas Crow gets sucked in. And, like, I feel like Yang could be the most exposed, I guess. Like, obviously Ozpin,
yes, because
but out of the girls.
They mention how he makes fun of clergymen and scholars and chaste beauties, so maybe RWBY is a chaste beauty.
I mean, I feel like they can expose everyone for something. Like, Yang in her pride, and, like, you know, Yang in her pride and her hypocrisy, and, like, Crow, like, for his side of things. Ozpin for Ozpin for his cowardice, Blake for his cowardice, like, you know what I mean? Like, they could expose them for all these different vices that Team RWBY has, and so this could be a trickster character who really goes in and takes advantage of them, right? And the only person that can save them in this situation is RWBY because she has no vice. Maybe. I hear she likes video games. I actually like cookies. But you know, like, I feel like that there are more vices than just hypocrisy and folly. It's like, you could be arrogant, you could be this, you could be that. Like, I can't think of one for Weiss right now just because she seems so
greed,
nice.
Pride,
I guess pride.
Wrath, there's a few.
I feel like Yang is a bit more prideful, though. Like, for Blake, I think it's cowardice, right?
Cowardice
for Yang, it could be... No, but I'm saying it's whatever, right? You could do any vice. Like, vices are not the same as, like, the 7 sins. Like, a vice is basically anything that you do that's... Like, vice versus
You've been
virtue,
watching too much,
Full Metal Alchemist?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think that would be interesting if there was some gesture character in here that really manipulated their minds and got them to expose all their secrets to each other or something. And also, this character seems like a trickster character. And so I've been taking the Fairytale class this semester. We've talked a little about archetypes, but mostly what I was thinking of is the Emperor's New Clothes. And so basically in that fairy tale, these two people come to town and they pretend that they are seamstress people and they trick the king into saying, "Oh, we're going to make this gown for you and this gown can only be seen by those or that this gown cannot be seen by those that are stupid or not fit for office." And obviously they don't make anything. They pretend that they're working in there the whole time. And they literally expose everybody because nobody wants to be unfit for office or seen as stupid. And so nobody, not even the king, says anything. And they don't actually make anything. It's not that they're actually magic. They're swindlers. Right? And so the king can't see it. And he's just like, well... shit, well, I can't be unfit for office, nobody has to know, and then, like, you know, his councilmen see it, like, they pretend that they all see it, and then he just goes out naked, and a kid is the one that reveals and exposes, because they don't have any, like, they're not afraid of being stupid, and it's not like they can't be fit for office, or can be fit for office, they're just a kid, right? And so I feel like that could also be the same idea here, is everybody... is gonna get exposed, like, in a sense. Because it's a very literal exposure, like, he's naked, right? Like, that's as exposed as you're getting in that fairy tale. So I feel like here it could be sort of the same thing, where a trickster character comes in and exposes all of their flaws.
It's nice to know that your bizarre fairy tale education is doing you some good.
Anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, you guys should become patrons over on Patreon. And, subscribe. And we'll see you guys later. Bye. Thank you to our wonderful patrons over on Patreon for supporting the channel. Patrons get a bunch of different cool rewards ranging from access to VIP chats or getting video tickets, which can basically be used to request us to do videos, for example. We can advance early access or access to our Discord server. All of those are rewards that our patrons can get, and it's pretty cool. I do recommend it if you guys want to support the channel. We have so much fun talking on our Discord server about whatever it may be, whether that's RWBY or Kingdom Hearts or Miraculous Ladybug, right? And the early access helps you guys obviously get to see our videos before anybody else does, and so that's also pretty cool. The VIP chat is pretty exclusive. I can reply like a bit faster there. It's a bit more one-on-one. So if you guys are interested in any of those, I do suggest that you guys become patrons over on Patreon. The link is in the description, and thank you again for all of our patrons for helping us out. We'll see you guys later. Bye.